The archive is open. Record number 4214.
The 20th century was a period of rapid development of world culture and technological progress. However, all achievements pale in comparison with the consequences they caused.
Terran History Part 1 The New Order. By the end of the 21st century, mankind has faced irreversible changes in the life of society. Fundamentally new technologies spread with incredible speed, providing even the most backward peoples of Earth with wide access to perfect computer technology and information databases. Following the eradication of communism, nuclear weapons spread throughout the world. As a result of the Third World countries uprising against the economic and military might of the world's superpowers, the international power structure, once created to financial and military domination, was swept away. Influential sciences such as cybernetics, cloning and genetic engineering gained more and more weight in society. At the same time, militant humanists and orthodox religious groups openly opposed themselves to private companies enriched by genetic experiments. Many people were augmented with cybernetic implants, and some began to show signs of mutation, from increased sensitivity to advanced telepathic abilities. These dramatic changes in the gene pool of humankind raised waves of panic in the circles of consistent humanists. Along with the ongoing advances in technology, the population also increased dramatically. By the end of the 20th century, 6 billion people lived on Earth. In less than 3 centuries, the population reached, according to some estimates, 23 billion. Pollution of the environment, lack of natural resources and fuel, as well as food, aggravated the situation. World leaders were looking for ways to reduce the rate of growth of world's population. There were fears that the Earth was moving towards an inevitable catastrophe since overpopulation and genetic deformation threatened to overwhelm the entire planet. With the growing tension caused by the use of cybernetics and the accumulation of genetic mutations, the leading international economic communities fenced themselves off from the rest of the world. Terrible acts of mutual terrorism and violence swept through the corporate sector and communities of humanists, which led to worldwide repressions. The irresponsible media that covered these brutal police measures provoked massive civil unrest in many major countries. In the end, the precarious balance of world forces was disturbed, and the world turned into a complete hell. On November 22, 2229, the UPL, United Powers League, was founded. The League was destined to become the last instrument of the political will of the united mankind and the legal successor of the United Nations. This new order directed and controlled nearly 93% of the world's population. It was not possible to establish it only in several independent states of South America. The UPL was founded in the framework of the concept of enlightened socialism, but it often stooped to crude, almost fascist methods of maintaining public order. After 80 years of its dominance, the UPL began to pursue a tough policy of bringing the various cultures of mankind to a single standard, Much time has gone into eradicating racial separatism. Special Unitariate Commissions banned world religions. English was recognized as the common language of mankind. Many national languages were gradually banned in their countries. Despite the fact that religions were officially abolished, the League strongly supported the belief in the godlikeness of mankind itself. This quasi-religious dogma called for the immediate eradication of any unviable carriers of implant prostheses and mutants in the environment of a pure gene pool. Hardline UPL proponents and scholars argued that genetic changes, cybernetic technologies, and the use of psychotropic drugs led to the final degradation of the human race. The leaders of the UPL have devised a bold plan to ensure that humanity remains unscathed despite the disruptive effects of the latest technologies. Like the bloody Inquisition that ravaged Europe 8 centuries ago, the UPL has set in motion one of the most brutal plans ever conceived by humans – Project Purification. This crusade, and in fact genocide, was the final decision of the world government, adopted in order to cleanse humanity from degenerating individuals. The League troops went through all nations of Earth, looking for renegades, hackers, synthetic individuals, people enhanced with cybernetic implants, technical pirates, and all kinds of criminal elements. This planetary culling process has claimed more than 400 million lives. The world media, then under the strict control of the League, hushed up the terrible atrocities and kept the majority of the population unaware of the violence that was being committed. Despite their heinous acts, the UPL succeeded in advancing many core technologies. Fields of research abandoned for decades have reopened, but now under the control of the UPL. The space exploration programs of the mid-20th century, from which both the American and Russian governments at one time abandoned due to extremely cut budgetary funds and constant political sabotage, marked the beginning of a new era of mankind. The combination of cryogenic hibernation and warp drive technologies has made interstellar travel possible. For 40 years, colonies were created on the Moon and many planets of the Solar System. Prisoners sentenced to mass extermination as part of the Purification project were transferred to Routh private laboratories. At the same time, the brilliant young scientist Doran Routh began to implement a plan to increase his influence within the UPL. Routh, who did not participate in the implementation of the Purification project, was fascinated by the idea of establishing colonies on worlds outside the Terran sector. The scientist was convinced that the discovery of new minerals and alternative fuel resources in the outer worlds would make him one of the most powerful people on Earth. Thanks to political connections and personal luck, Routh was able to use thousands of UPL prisoners to carry out his secret plans. Preparing to send prisoners to colonize the outer worlds, Doran ordered his scientific associates to prepare 56,000 people for long-term cryogenic hibernation. After compiling a catalog of various mutations and cyber implants among the prisoners, Routh entered all this data into a revolutionary supercomputer. This artificial teleempathic logistic analysis system, known as Atlas, processed genetic information and was able to predict which of the prisoners would survive the upcoming tests. Only 40,000 prisoners were found capable of surviving the harsh conditions. These people were loaded into giant automatic deep space supercarriers. While the prisoners were being prepared for a cryogenic cold sleep, the ships were supplied with various resources, equipment and apparatus. The navigation computer was entered with the coordinates of the distant planet Gantry 6. It seemed that everything was foreseen, but even Routh himself could not imagine that the prisoners would be sent to almost certain death in the fringe of the galaxy.